Hi, everybody. It's Liz Cresci, Strategic Growth Coach. I'm here with Life Coach University, and I am super excited to be here for Let's Coach 2023. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm just getting a couple of things squared away here. First of all, I want to remind you that we are brought to you by Life Coach University, and you can check us out at lifecoachuniversity.com. We are on a mission to coach millions more. So we would love it if you would help us spread the word, pass it along to people you know, share it with others, and just spread some love. I mean, we're here to help you, and hopefully that our messages reach you at the right time whenever you need them. Great. So a little housekeeping. If you have any questions or comments, please use the Q&A box. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to come up for some laser coaching. Happy to do that. Don't have to put you on camera. But if you want to stay completely anonymous without the voice, throw it in the Q&A. Awesome. So excited that you're here today. So let's get started. Again, I'm Liz Cresci, and I'm a strategic growth coach. And I truly, truly, truly believe that we are all whole and perfect as we are, right? And when we hit obstacles and struggles, it just helps us grow, right? I mean, if you're constantly, at the same level, you're going to start to backslide, right? I discovered that this week. I was talking about a business that we have, and I was talking with my husband who has the business with me, and it's been coasting along fairly well. But at some point, it's going to rebound and start to go backwards. And that's the way it is for us in life as well. So I just want to bring that to our attention, right? That if we're not growing, we're dying. You've heard me say that before. I'm sure you've heard it in other places. I cannot take credit for making that up. Or inventing that. But I truly believe that if we look at nature, everything in nature is exactly the way it's supposed to be because nature created it. We're created by nature. That too, we are exactly how we are supposed to be. However, we need to continue moving like everything else in the universe. We need to continue growing. And so that brings me to what I wanted to talk about today. And again, if you have something that you'd like to bring that's completely different, I'm happy to go off onto left field with you. It doesn't have to be on the topic today. So I was at my desk, and I have an iPad next to my desk. And near that iPad, I had a bottle of water that was mostly full. And it happened to be on the side of the iPad that the speakers were on. And I had something playing on the iPad, and I looked over and I noticed that the water was vibrating, that there were ripples in my bottle of water. And I realized that they were moving to the sound that was coming out. They were vibrating to the vibrations from the sound from the iPad. And I thought that was it just struck me as so poignant. And then I turned off the iPad and the water bottle calmed down. And so across the desk, it's, maybe about 4 feet long, I tapped my finger gently on the desk, and actually it created a ripple in the water bottle. And so then I rubbed it on the desk a little bit, and not pushing hard so that it would move the desk. I wasn't touching the desk in any other way. And I could see a glimmer of a ripple. And what that was like, I get it. Throw a pebble in, the ripples happen, you never know what effect you're going to have. And, there's plenty of talk out there about the ripple effect. Even the Dalai Lama said, just as ripples spread out when a single pebble is dropped in water, the actions of individuals have far-reaching effects. And I've known that, don't underestimate the ripple effect of what you do. And, you have no idea about the countless lives you touch in the course of your lifetime. I mean, these are things that other people have said, not me, right? Every single thought and every single action creates a ripple effect. So be mindful. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, because, if you're on this personal development journey and you're trying to grow yourself, you have to understand that everything is energy. And when we create the thought, we're putting the energy out there, similar to what the iPad did with the water, right? The water was affected by the sound waves, and we have thought waves as well. So I don't want to get too woo-woo and out there and esoteric and whatever, but everything that we do has a ripple effect. And oftentimes we look externally, and it makes sense, right? If you do something, let's take an obvious example. Let's say that you you stub your toe when you're in your house, and you knock your toe into a cabinet, and you're jumping up and down, screaming in pain. Well, that noise wakes up your child, and then your child, maybe it's an infant, and then the infant starts screaming, and then that wakes up your other child, and then that other child, then you all have a bad day because nobody got that. Like, you can see the ripple effect of that. But what I want to bring to your attention is, what about the ripple effect in your life? You have the thought, and you take or do not take the action, there's still a ripple effect. So I really want to make that pretty clear, because we oftentimes focus outwards. And in this development process, and in growing ourselves into the person that we choose to be, which I believe we all have the opportunity to be anybody that we'd like to be, and to have a life of our choosing, of our design, our creation, right? Everything we have to do, or everything we do, has a ripple effect. Everything we think about, everything we say, right? So, talk about saying, right? If somebody, not you, but somebody constantly tells lies or embellishes the truth, then the ripple effect on that for themselves is that they don't buy into their own BS, right? And other people aren't buying into it either, and they're alienating themselves. So I just wanted to kind of put that image in your mind of things that we don't see still have an effect. I didn't see the sound waves coming out of that iPad, but it had a major effect on that bottle of water. And so understanding how we're showing up and in what way, and being super intentional. And let me tell you, it's so hard because we have a habit, just a habit of the way we show up and the way we behave in the world. And in fact, I'm just looking at my notes here. I was watching a session by somebody near and dear to my heart today, and they are super wise. And we're talking about how every day we get to experience what we experience, right? She likened it to writing chapters of our book, right? Every day is a new page or a new chapter. What do we want that to say, right? I thought that was pretty profound. And when you think about it, how we show up, what energy we bring, the words that we use, the thoughts that we have, the deeds that we do, that's all affecting not just the world around us, which is super important and something to realize, but it affects us too. And sometimes it affects us in such a way that we can really undermine ourselves, right? And I promise you, I've said this before, if you heard some of the stuff that I say to myself in my head, it's abusive, right? I would never talk to you. I would never talk to my friends. I'd never talk to my loved ones I would never talk to people I don't know, I don't have a relationship with, the way I talk to myself. And that's a habit. And why? I need to be my own best cheerleader, right? And, similar for you as well. Surround yourself, be thoughtful about who you have in your life, be thoughtful about the way you think about things and what you think about. It's the drunk monkey, right? What's in that voice in our head is also kind of like a computer where you get out what you put in, right? It's not going to make up something. You've been putting it in. And I saw this example with one of my kids. Years ago, one of my kids, when they were in middle and high school, loved horror flicks, loved information and books about death and serial killers and horrifying circumstances and all of that. Well, this child eventually couldn't be outside at night, couldn't walk from their car to the front door by themselves. They couldn't sleep without a light on. They couldn't be alone at night because they freaked themselves out. Why? Because they were putting all that garbage into their head. I mean, what did you expect you were going to get out? It affects your thoughts. It affects what happens to you. And so I just want to bring your attention to the fact that our mind, our action, our words, our deeds, they are having a ripple effect in other places in our lives as well. So that brings me to the next kind of segues into the next topic, which is audit. And really paying attention and being thoughtful and being intentional about how we show up for ourselves. And we need to do a regular review, a regular audit, right? This is where we're checking everything, and then we need to write it down. We need to record it. So take stock of where things are at any given time. Maybe make an appointment with yourself once a week, or at the very least once a quarter, if not once a month, right? The more you track, the more you check and review, the faster you're going to see your results, the faster and more capable you will be to get where you want to go. So take stock of where things are, and choose those aspects of your life that are super important to you and about yourself, right? Write them down. Here's some questions to consider. What's challenging you right now? What's challenging you? What's challenging you in your physical appearance? What's challenging you in your financial world, in your work or business world, and with your relationship? Like, what's challenging you right now? What's working well right now? I think as people, we don't spend enough time celebrating what goes right. Instead, we'll beat ourselves up and abuse ourselves over what goes wrong, right? So what's working well right now? What do you wish was different right now? Different in a good way, different in a bad way, just different. And why? Why do you wish it was different? And where do you feel empowered and super energized in your life right now? Where is it that you just, you partake in something, or you have, an area of your house or something like that that just gives you that extra oomph and that energy and those goosebumps like I'm getting right now, right? Just where do you feel energized? And just understanding that. And maybe that's just a journal that a journal entry that you have with yourself regularly. Let me repeat those questions. What's challenging you right now? What's working well for you right now? What do you wish was different now, and why? Where do you feel empowered and energized right now in your life? And these are the things that we want to consider. Let me point out to you that if you're struggling as to figuring out what's challenging for you right now, where are you triggered? Because when you're triggered, and when I say triggered, I mean, what are you avoiding? What do you not want to talk about? What would you not share with your closest friend or even a stranger? You know, those are things that when you don't want to face it, 9 times out of 10, those are not life-threatening, but it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. It's like having a festering wound that you have a Band-Aid over, so it's doing okay. And then you tear it off. You just can't put your head in the sand anymore. These aspects are where you need to spend some time. You need to clean house with these little festering wounds around and really have a look into them and get into what is it about them. And you try to do it with your own best interest and without judgment for yourself. These are just facts. That's all you need. You don't need to know why. You don't need to know what led up to it. You just need to be able to take that snapshot right now, a detailed snapshot. What does it look like? If you were to describe it to me without judgment, what would that be? If you let it go and don't face it and stick your head in the sand, it's going to come back. It's going to rebound to you, and it's going to go further and further and further down and into the hole. That's what we want to avoid. Anything worth doing is worth tracking. So anything worth doing is worth taking the time to evaluate where it is, right? All we're asking you to do in this moment is audit and take a look at where it is. Because as Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets managed, right? These are the ways of tracking that allow you to revisit and just check in with yourself and check in to see what's working for you. Because don't you want a life filled with what's working versus that drudgery of oh my God, I have to do that again? Or this isn't working, I don't like it. Like, wouldn't it be nice to build a life around what gets you, jumping out of bed every morning? It does for me, right? So we track stuff all the time, but usually we are tracking the negative stuff. We're tracking our mistakes. We're running them around with our drunk monkey. What if you stood up today and you forgave yourself all those mistakes and you changed the way you look at them as just learnings, right? So as we look back, if you look back over your life, what if you did nothing but kick yourself when you were a baby learning to walk? You'd still be crawling around on the floor because you wouldn't have taken the time to learn. I didn't get that right. I'm just going to sit here, right? What if it was about your job? What if you spent the first day in your new job or in your new career and you had a bit of a learning curve? And then what if you never learned anything again? What if you never made any mistakes? What if you had no growth? And now 1 year, 5 year, 10 years later, you're still doing the same thing today you did in the first day of your job. I don't know about you, but for me, stick needles in my eyes, right? Because I need to constantly feel like I'm learning something, because that's how I get my sense of growth and self-improvement and self-worth. Like, I need to be learning. And I still beat myself up for mistakes, but you know what? It's time we stop doing that. And I'll make a pledge right here and right now to stop doing that. But I invite you to do that as well. Like, forgive yourself for the mistake, take the lesson, and move forward. It's like, think about Thomas Edison. If he didn't push 10,000 times doing the same experiment in different ways, we wouldn't have the light bulb. It took him 10,000 tries. That means he made a mistake 9,999 times. But it's interesting, isn't it? We learn, at least here in the States, in science class in our grade school, about hypothesis and testing your hypothesis and then coming back and tweaking it. But we don't translate that into our lives. We need to start translating that into our life, right? So take the time to take this audit. And in a minute, I'll give you an exercise to make this easy. But understand that if you do it regularly and you keep checking the same benchmarks, the same areas, then you'll eventually, this is what's tracking, right? So you could look back and see how far you've come. You can look back and see that, oh, wow, I took a left turn here. I need to bring it back on course because that worked, but this didn't. So anything worth doing is worth tracking. It's about getting 1% better every day. It's not about changing the world tomorrow. It's about how can I improve on whatever area you choose to improve upon, just 1%. You don't have to, move mountains. This is just something to be able to get you rolling, right? You want to move a 5-mile freight train, it's going to take a little time, a little momentum until you get that momentum up and are really chugging along. That's what I'm talking about, 1% a day. And you pick where. So Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, he was an amazing man. I think he passed away in 2015. One of his sayings has stuck with me, and it's change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. That's what we're talking about here. Stop beating yourself up for mistakes that you've made and look at them as learnings. And then you will take the lessons and you will apply them again and you will move forward. It's like a cycle, right? So, and again, where you feel the resistance, where you don't want to look at it, like I will be perfectly blunt. I hate financial things, but I do them. I can do them for my business, but when it comes to my own personal, it's very hard for me. It's like, I don't want to know, but I need to know. And they're very triggering for me, which means I need to lean in even further. And I'm inviting you, when things are triggering for you, lean in even further and use a coach. A coach is a perfect person to do these exercises with. You could use your network or a friend, although sometimes it's easier to use somebody who's not connected with you on a personal level in that way, because you might feel that they're judging you. You might have a little nervousness about, speaking your mind and opening up what you're thinking about. Or they may already know your circumstances and put their own judgments and understandings on that. And so that's why coaches are good, because you can hire them to help you just through a specific piece, so that you can get the focus and that they're there for your best interest, right? That's what we do. And we will challenge you if you need to be challenged, and we will help get you to pull out those answers you already have, because you are perfect the way you are. We judge ourselves so harshly, and yet we wouldn't judge other people the same way with quite the same vigor or viciousness, right? So the beauty is there's nothing that's considered perfect in nature, but that's what makes it perfect. And we're not perfect, but that's what makes us perfect, right? Perfectionism, when we cannot move forward because we're stuck in the perfectionist loop, that's the drunk monkey telling us that we need to stay where we are and giving us every excuse in the book. It keeps us small. It keeps us from moving forward. It keeps us in fear. Oh, what if people find out that I don't know how to do this? It's my first time. Honestly, people celebrate you for trying new things and stepping out onto your own path, because that's where you choose to be. You should be celebrating yourself too. So in the few minutes we have left, I just want to go over, here's an exercise for you. And again, great to do with a coach. You can do it with a friend. You can have a group of people over, each do your own, or you can do it on your own. And I really suggest that you do this. You can find a lot about it out there if you Google Wheel of Life, but the gist is take a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, draw a big circle, cut it into 8 pie wedges. Make little tick marks in on those lines, with 0 being the center and 10 being the out. So you want one for each of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10. And then label each section. And now you can pick what labels you want, but generally and these would be the areas of your life, or if you're doing it on your business, the areas of your business. So the areas of your life that most people really need to spend some time considering on a regular basis. Your finances. What does your financial life look like right now on a scale of 1 to 10? You're grading yourself now, here in this moment. Put a dot on a scale of 1 to 10, that scale that you wrote. Where is your financial life? Where is your physical environment on that scale of 1 to 10? Your home, your room, your car, whatever you consider your yard, whatever you consider your physical environment, 1 to 10. Your health, that's your personal health. That includes exercise, that includes your weight, your, any ailments that you may have. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel your health is today? Your personal growth or development, that would be like your mental side, right? Health may be physical, personal growth development might be your mental health. How about your relationships with like your friends and your family? How do you feel they are? Scale of 1 to 10 today. And your intimate relationships, those are your significant others, your love interest, the person that is the closest to you, right? Scale of 1 to 10. Career or business or both. Where is that on the scale? And fun and recreation. Everybody needs fun and recreation in your life. So you mark on those, each one of those, where they are on a scale of 1 to 10. And now pick a random time frame. Let's say next month, let's say next year. Where do you want those to be? Maybe your finances start as a 3 and you want it to be a 7. Maybe your health is at an 8 and you want it to be an 8.5. Maybe, so you can see, right? It's also very helpful if you use different colors for the dots and then you put them together and draw them, connect them. And you can see how your life is balanced, because the wheel is like a wheel. And if you have too much of one and not enough of another of the others, it's going to look like a point, right? So from here, you can pick the one, or just one, that's all we're asking right now, is pick one area that you want to focus on for the next month. Let's say you do this once a month. And dig a little deeper into that. What would take you from the 3 to the 7, right? You said you wanted to be at a 7. What do you need to do to get there? How would you know that you've arrived there? What does that look like for you? What needs to happen to get you from 3 to 7? How much of that is in your control and how much of it is not? Really dig a little bit deeper on that. I mean, if you want to, you could even do another wheel just on that one segment, right? Let's say you did finances. You wanted it to go, you feel like it's a 3 today, you want it to go to a 7 in 6 months. Let's do another wheel. What does finances mean? Well, it means money in my checking account. It means money in my 401k. It means reducing my spending. It means saving for my kids' colleges. It means, paying off my debt, whatever it is, and then rate them where they are today, where you would like them to be. So you're kind of bringing it down and down. So you're laser focusing. Write the date on these things. Post your current one on the wall where you're going to see it all the time, and use it to help you plan. What are the steps I need to take this week to make this happen? How can I tweak myself 1% every day to get to where I need to go? Save these. Don't throw them away. Save them, because they are a nice overview of where you've come. And I do believe in tracking for ourselves so that we can go back on the timeline. You know what's good? Let me just grab this book real quick. I don't know if you have one of these, but this is a 5-year journal. And it's relatively new this year. So as you can see, it shows you the date, and then you have 5 years you can write them in. And what's beautiful about this is when you write what happens in this year, next year you can see what happened this year. So you can see and appreciate and celebrate where you've come from. And that's what it's about. So it's about taking a moment, celebrating where you are, but you have to know where you are. So doing the audit, taking it a little deeper. Anyway, I could go on for hours. I'm not going to. We've hit our time. I just want to say thank you all so much for showing up. I'm sorry I didn't get to the Q&As that I had today, but I look forward to seeing you again next week. This was, again, my name is Liz Cresci. I'm a strategic growth coach. You can find me over at thelegacyofgrowth.com. Email is liz@thelegacyofgrowth.com. Or as always, send a feedback, send a question or comment to hello@Life Coach University. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to be, we do these for you. So we'd love it to be a part of you and what you're, and go in a direction you would like to go. And do check us out at lifecoachuniversity.com. We have these Let's Coach 2023s almost every day of the week. And we have some awesome PIF talks coming up. So those are our 1 hours every month that we do. And a number of coaches do those. So thank you. I hope you have a blessed day, and I appreciate you. We will see you next time. Thank you so much.